So we are here with Dr. Patrick Boakye. Doc, tell us about yourself, the group you chair, and the Brew-Hammond Centre.
You are welcome to my office. So my name is Patrick Boakye. My area of specialization is in chemical and biological engineering, specifically in environmental nano and biotechnology. So over here we conduct research spanning from renewable energy technology, fluid flow, environmental remediation, generally on chemical reaction engineering and stuff like that. So air purification, soil remediation, and so on and so forth. So that's about our group. I also double as the chair of the Green Hydrogen and Energy Production and Storage Group at the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre. The Brew-Hammond Energy Centre is a center at the College of Engineering, and so as the name connotes, focusing on energy production and its related issues. So specifically about the Green Hydrogen and Energy Storage Group, it's in its nascent stages. The group is new, and I'm supposed to be the first chair, and so we are trying to look at how best we can develop research in the areas of hydrogen and other things that will help in this regard.
Okay. So what are some of the research or the projects that you seek to develop in the coming years?
Okay, so far what we have been trying to do is to look at feasibility studies on hydrogen production. I must say that hydrogen doesn't sit with Dr. Patrick Boakye and his research group alone. There are other faculty in mechanical engineering and even the College of Science, Chemistry and other colleges who are also focusing on hydrogen production and energy storage. But we are trying to champion it and try to bring all these efforts together. And so far under Brew-Hammond Energy Centre, what we have tried to do is to focus on methods that we can develop to produce hydrogen. Subsequently in our discussion today, we are going to be talking about the challenges with hydrogen production. But then our focus thus far has been on looking for methodologies. How can we locally produce hydrogen, and how important is hydrogen as we try to talk about it, and how do we sensitize researchers around as well as stakeholders, and then the need for the country or the nation to even focus on hydrogen. Now, to conclude on this, I think that the world now than ever thrives on materials, energy, and the environment. And you are better off if you are thinking about the fifth industrial revolution, like others are doing, using destructive technologies and artificial intelligence and complex systems, and you really want to industrialize, then you have to look for alternative sources of energy. I am careful to say I don't want to talk about the country's energy issues. Otherwise, I would say that we need alternative energy than any other country. And so therefore, the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre wants to champion this. And so as we begin talking about it locally, then we can talk about it national, on the national platform and bring along sister universities. The interesting thing to note is we are in partnership with Climate Compatible Growth Group, which is based in the UK. And then we are seriously talking about hydrogen fuel because of its benefits and then the impact, the positive impact it also has on our climate. So yeah, the center is really doing a lot in that regard.
You said you don't want to talk about the national issue, but I want to know the current state of hydrogen energy in Ghana and how probably Brew-Hammond can contribute in helping in this particular area.
Okay, so the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre, it's in an academic hub. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, so to speak. But the interesting thing is, it's the focus on green hydrogen energy storage has even gone a little beyond the center alone. I mean to say that the center has now extended its tentacles to other people, and then so many people are now interested. So this is what we are doing so far. We are leading academics, and so we are trying to focus our research energies specifically on green hydrogen and energy storage. And then in addition to that, we are reaching out to other stakeholders like governmental institutions, talk of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, and the likes, Water River Authority and others. And we are saying that there is a need, for hydrogen because of the benefit it brings. Maybe we'll talk about that subsequently, or it's a commonplace knowledge to know that hydrogen burns clean, and then it gives us a lot of efficiency if we are using it on our engines. And then it will also suffice to say that looking at the resources we have, for example, we have a lot of renewable resources, i.e. we have a lot of waste agricultural residues, talk of the corn cobs and the coconut husk and others, cocoa pod and all that. We can actually use it to produce hydrogen. And if we do, it becomes the parent or the starting material for the production of commodity materials like ammonia, which is fertilizer, synonymous to fertilizer. And then the hydrogen itself, we can use it as a fuel material for transportation, even in the aviation industry, for shipping and so on and so forth. My argument over the years has been that we can even trade it. We can export hydrogen in different forms. So that is what the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre is looking at. And Brew-Hammond, so like I said, we are locally focusing our research effort on green hydrogen production and its storage. And then we are looking at reaching out to other stakeholders like governmental agencies and the private sector and all that, trying to foster some collaboration. And we are reaching out to people internationally. Now we are in talks with some universities in Germany and other places. We are all trying to talk about it for a common interest, and so on and so forth. So Brew-Hammond Energy Centre is doing a lot. And I must say that myself and the director, Professor David Atokwansa, are in talks looking at how we can develop curriculum, to even incorporate it. Even though we have renewable energy technologies incorporated, but for the benefit of hydrogen, we'd like to sort of try to, throw a bit more light on it. And so these are some of the efforts, in addition to others that we may even talk about as we move on with our conversation.
You've highlighted the importance of green hydrogen.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the challenges that when it comes to incorporating green hydrogen into Ghana's energy sector? Why are we not incorporating these things? What are some of the challenges you think is happening?
Yeah, so the issue with green hydrogen, if this was to be green hydrogen production lecture 101, then we would have spoken about the technicalities. But the issue is primarily with its initial, capital cost. It's huge to invest in it, because there are advanced countries producing hydrogen via what you call the Faraday's electrolysis. Maybe this shouldn't be too much for your viewers, but the Faraday's electrolysis uses electrical energy to split water, right? Water is H2O, so when we split it, then we get hydrogen. So you can already, even if you're a non-scientist or engineer, you can already see that it is energy intensive, and that we have energy issues and so on and so forth. Now, because of its density also, we have issues with storage, and then maybe the last but not the least thing I would want to talk about before I bring another challenge will be infrastructure. We need to develop infrastructure, like we need reactors and systems that will be able to convert materials into hydrogen. But within this, the good news is that the country doesn't need to get a whole chunk of surplus electricity before we can produce hydrogen, because we can adopt systems like gasification, of biomass. Our waste, so much waste that are collected around the municipal solid waste and others, the agricultural residues like I spoke about, we can actually catalytically combust or burn them. And then the synthesis gases that are going to come, we can get hydrogen from it and purify. and so on and so forth. So in that regard, all hope is not lost. So even though the cost, skyrocket if you have to produce hydrogen, but then we have an alternative. Then again, looking at its enormous benefit, we can also produce some from our natural gas we have from Atomabu. So there is that challenge though, but there is something also we can do. And then we just started talking about it quite recently, even though hydrogen is the first element on the periodic table.
Yes.
So we have probably spoken about it since people have been in high schools. But focusing on its production has become a national interest, and for that matter, a key interest at the Brew-Hammond Energy Centre. I must admit that we need to develop infrastructure in that regard, and so that is also another area. And then the storage. It is difficult to store. Sometimes to succeed in storing it, you need to do cryogenics and other technologies that are also require a lot of skills. So, but yeah, definitely nowadays we are making a lot of effort. We know that we have power eruption, and so if we have systems like fuel cells and others that could run on hydrogen, gas, then we can augment, our energy supply and demand. And so hydrogen will have its challenges, like I have tried to enunciate right now, but I don't think that it is something that should scare us as a center and as a nation. So we are doing our best to surmount all these challenges and produce hydrogen for Ghana.
And so still looking at the role that hydrogen can play in Ghana's broader energy sector, particularly in decarbonizing sectors like transportation and industry, because they produce a lot of emission.
Yeah.
If we are to adopt the hydrogen energy, how is it going to help the country in that regard?
Hydrogen is going to really help the fate of Ghana. And in this regard, let me take off my technical cap as the chairman of the Green Hydrogen Production Energy Storage. If we identify a place around Boakye and we built a cargo, airport around that place, and we produced a lot of hydrogen, and we say we wanted to export to Europe, we are going to make a lot of money, because hydrogen, from hydrogen we produce ammonia, and that man can't do without food.
Yes.
And we need ammonia as a key fertilizer material. And so every nation on this planet, need food, and then people are going into production. So you have some good, amount of hydrogen, synonymous to some, huge quantities of ammonia you can export as a fertilizer material. And then the other thing it will do is, when we go into producing hydrogen and converting it into ammonia alone, you can think about the number of jobs, it's going to help us create, and so on and so forth. Then it will help us, we will join other countries that are focusing on decarbonizing the heavy industries like the cement and the mining industries, i.e. we can augment our energy need in these heavy industries with hydrogen. And it's because hydrogen gives a cleaner, burning effect, and so on and so forth. Our climate will be safe. And then the global countries seek to achieve at large, we are going to contribute, and so on and so forth. Hydrogen does not only give us ammonia, and we won't only use it as a means of fuel in our systems. We can convert it into cyclohexane and other materials. Cyclohexane is a base material for polymer production.
Okay.
And if we go into the polymer, benefit of polymer industry already, it will come back, to confirm the fact that the world now thrives on materials, energy, and environment. And you cannot do without materials. And so there are a lot of benefits we can get. Now, importantly, we were trying to serve our neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire with electricity and others, and so on and so forth. If we produce enough hydrogen, then we can generate electricity, because we can use it to power a fuel cell, and then from that we can produce electricity and feed the national grid. Maybe when we do and we have enough energy, green energy such as this, then tariffs are going to go down, and then we are going to have enough energy, and industries are going to, spring up, and then there's not going to be quote unquote doomsday, that angers people a lot, and so on and so forth. So the benefits are enormous, so enormous. We can talk about it over and over again. We can actually develop it to the extent that we'll have great expertise that we can even export as expatriate to other countries, to generate revenue for the country.
Okay, so looking at the endless opportunity green hydrogen presents, how can policymakers, academicians, institutions come together to look at this viable sector and make sure that it's able to help Ghana in terms of energy production?
Yeah, let me take it from home. So we can talk about policymakers, industries, academics, and so on and so forth. Academics, what we should start doing is, look, it is feasible. If you read from literature and the textbooks about the challenges of hydrogen production, then probably you are never going to try to venture producing it already. But we can look at alternative routes, in producing it. We can, leverage on systems, that we are conversant with, and those that we are not, and see how we can, go by the Ghanaian African narrative. If we cannot, for example, at the moment, split water to produce hydrogen, then we can gasify, for example, to produce hydrogen. If we cannot use the direct Faraday's electrolysis from electricity we are producing from Akosombo, then we can use the solar PV, we can use solar energy, to try to split this water to produce hydrogen. So that is the aspect academia we can do. When we focus on policymakers, then policymakers, should create enabling frameworks, should provide incentives. We should be deliberate about making this hydrogen thing happen. And policymakers should also endeavor to fund demonstration projects. For example, in the past year, I've had my students, currently most of them are teaching and research assistants now. They used biomass. Talk of Adam Justice Tai and then Selom Kwame Bruni and others. They were able to use plastics as waste and then biomass, grasses, miscanthus grasses and others to produce hydrogen. And it was interesting, the quantity of hydrogen they were able to produce using a simple, hydrothermal carbonization and then gasification, simple chemical engineering unit operations and reactors, they were able to produce hydrogen. So if policymakers, if academics are ready to undertake the research, then policymakers, should, come out with frameworks and then even try to support funding of some of these projects and so on and so forth. About industries, in our conversation today, we've talked about decarbonizing heavy industries like the cement and the mining. They should be deliberate in funding projects. They should come and then we should have a stakeholders discussion and say that let's talk about hydrogen. Let's be deliberate about it. If you are using, for example, diesel fuel, to power your heavy equipment and all that, and we are running same on hydrogen, what is going to be the specific brake power, the thermal efficiency? How much torque are you going to, get from your system? And how much are you going to contribute in saving the climate? These are the things that we should talk about. So in a nutshell, I think that all stakeholders, should come on deck, and then we should begin talking about it already. I have a feeling we should even incorporate it in the curriculum as far as in the basic schools, and let's talk about it. And when people are learning about how they can do craft work and others, we should, introduce hydrogen and other renewable energy systems to them, so that everybody talks about it. Parliamentarians talk about it. Let even the judiciary talk about it. And let the executive talk about it. And academics, let us champion it. I think it can be a reality.
Interesting. So finally, Doc, let's end with a call to international bodies, to government, to come and join the Brew-Hammond Centre in pushing the green hydrogen economy.
Yeah. So in this regard, you couch it so beautifully. The center has already started reaching out. We have a partnership and collaboration with some groups in Germany. I'll keep their identity, for now. In Ghana, we have Don Bosco Institute looking at hydrogen production. The interesting thing is climate compatible growth, unit, which is a UK Ghanaian partnership group, is also having a group called Green Hydrogen Production Energy Storage. And unfortunately, I happen to be the coordinator for the country. So deliberately, we are talking about it. There is a serious call for action. My immediate research group and then the Ghanaian group as a whole is looking at how we can come up with policies, and frameworks to see how we can begin talking about hydrogen, then the benefit it will bring, and then to bring stakeholders alongside. To that effect, we've had a couple webinars that people from all over the nation and even from Spain and Italy, South Korea and others have joined for us to talk about the benefit, because really Ghana has a lot of potential for hydrogen production. In that regard also, we are going to have a symposium in Accra. The venue, we would have to announce it later, but I think maybe we are trying to see if we can do it at Marriott, hotel. And this is what we are going to do. We are going to bring key people, say from GNPC, from Water River Authority and all these industries, GASEM and others, and we would say that let's talk about hydrogen and the benefit it will bring to the nation if we try to incorporate it into the energy mix, and if we try to convert it into other materials and so on and so forth. So the charge is still on. We are still talking about hydrogen, and we are calling on budding and young scientists and engineers to talk about hydrogen, to dream about hydrogen, to do everything hydrogen so that it will be a reality. There is a development of a roadmap for the nation. And myself and the director of Brew-Hammond Energy Centre are in talks to even table it before ECOWAS, someday soon, and then see how best the neighboring West African countries would also, join us to see how best we talk about hydrogen. Yeah, so a lot is being done. It's just a matter of time. We pray that everything comes out and then everybody will be glad.
It was so wonderful having you here.
Yeah.
And I'm actually enlightened on green hydrogen, and I'm hoping that international bodies and the governments have joined Brew-Hammond, and probably we can have a future of green hydrogen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Sure. Thank you for having me.